Hello, all you degenerate old schoolers, and welcome back to another episode of The Orb. We're sitting here beginning of March, and it's nighttime. New episode of The Orb's coming out. I'm 3 beers in for this telecast. To be fair, the first 2 beers may have been the size of a booster rocket, able to launch a rocket up into, we won't say orbit, we'll just say enough beer size to get the rocket off the launch pad. Beer number 3 is just a normie, 12 ounce, so I'm on that one now. I can't wait. We should have an excellent episode. This is February New England Old School. We are on the cut down. This is the top 8 action. I'm sitting on the left on the Time Walk playmat. My opponent, Brannon, is on that cool looking Black Lotus playmat. And let's get off and take a look at the decks that are playing tonight. And here's a quick look at my deck for the month. Yes, if you've watched more than one episode, you might have seen this deck before. It did take down, I think it was X Points 47. Red and blue, mostly red, with just a splash of blue, right? 2 blue cards in there. Very powerful, Time Walk, Time Twister. My other points fall into that Wheel of Fortune, and then into Mox Sapphire and Mox Ruby. So there are my 10 points or X points. Other than that, I just want to deal damage to the face. I think I called the deck Togs and Hogs. We have the 8 Togs top left. They're able to gobble up all those artifacts. Copper Tablets, Black Vices, Honks of Mishra, even the Moxen gives it +2/+2 till the end of the turn. So it introduces combat math. And then we have some direct damage in the form of 2 Chain Lightnings, a package of Lightning Bolts, and then on the other side is the Hogs. That's anything that costs 3 red to cast, which is 4 Lightning Bolts and 4 Yidwin Ifrits. I also have 3 Earthquakes to clear the board. I didn't think Fireball was important enough, and I could be wrong on that. It is a powerhouse of a card, but I just want to clear the way to let my big boys in, the 6/1s. Or the 3 6s. And then after that, I want to refill both my opponent and my hand. I want to make them take Black Vice damage and then take damage for playing Honk of Mishra. So the upside of this deck, it's so effective because 3 is kind of the max casting cost in the deck. Meaning once I get to 3 mana, I can cast out just about anything in the deck. Deal as much damage as quick as possible, and then hope you win. Sideboard brings in a few other elements. Psychic Purges are obviously for anyone on discard like Hymns or Mind Twist. Red and blue Elemental Blasts speak for themselves. So do the 2 Shatters and 2 Shatter Storms. I do run 3 Blood Moon for those multicolored decks, which we see less and less of in X Points. I do see a lot of basic land in X Points. And then more importantly after there are the 3 Mana Barbs. One looks like a Sedge Troll. That's a German misprint. Those are all 3 Mana Barbs. And once you go to tap a land for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to you. And what that does to anyone running a white deck, COP, Circle of Protection Red, which is the best stop against red, well, every time they go to prevent a damage, it hurts them by 1 more damage. And if they want to prevent that, it hurts them by 1 more and 1 more, and so on and so forth. To where the COP, well, you take damage just for using it. So, I found it very, very effective. If you watch the video, it worked out all the way down to the end. But now we're on a new month, new opponents, new decks. So let's take a look at my opponent's deck. And here's a look at Brandon's deck for the month. He wrapped his points up into 3 Mishra's Factories. He spent 2 more on the Wheel of Fortune, another 2 on the Time Twister, and his last 3 on a Black Lotus. So he's looking for an explosive start. Regroup to redraw 7 awesome cards, and then come in with those Deadly Factories that are such a pain in the ass to deal with. Creature package, I mean, this kind of is like Lion Dib Bolt. He's got 4 Savannah Lions, 3 Dibs. He also carries 3 Sarah Angels and 3 Juggernaut. And then the bolt portion, he's got the 4 lightning bolts, 4 chain lightnings, and 3 side blasts, so almost a full burn package in there. 4 black vices. He does carry 2 counter spells, and then 2 swords to plowshares for spot removal. So, in a very effective looking deck. We can see he's got the red elemental blast, blue elemental blast on the sideboard. I should mention he does carry the 1 fireball in the main. He's got the 4th side blast in the sideboard also. Divine Offerings, 2 more swords, Circle of Protection red, and I believe some disenchants in there. So all in all, very effective deck. Again, did very well in the month. I've said enough, let's get off to the game. And here we are with game number 1. Housekeeping reminder, if you have the ability to put together an old school event, please do so. And if you want to do it and reach out to me, I'll be happy to help promote it on this channel to the 12 to 13 people that listen to it. Brannon won the Who's Got the Best East Coast Accent, so he is on the play, shooting down a Tundra straight into a Black Vice. Ouch to the face for me. I dropped a 17 before I even get to look at my first card. I do drop down a Mountain and a Sapphire, followed by my own Black Vice. That is an altered Black Vice. It looks kind of funny now that I see it on video. Thank goodness I have it on video. So I deal 1 damage to Brannon. He drops himself to 19, finds a second Tundra, straight into a Black Lotus and a Dib with 2 blue mana open to protect that thing. Things are not looking spectacular for me. Still have Hive in hand. Gonna take 1 from the Black Vice. I do it very slowly. Probably have an instant in hand that I may want to play out. Find a Volcanic and a Pearl. I'm sorry, that's a Ruby. So have all the mana I need, as I mentioned before. 3 kind of caps out the deck. I only need 3, up to 3 red mana. And I can play anything I want to. Here we go. 3 for a Ball Lightning. 6/1 in from the dark. And it's got badass artwork, and it's turning sideways, cracking Brannon from 19 down to 13. The party's over for Ball Lightning, though. Dies at the end of turn, but its job is done. Brannon drops to 12 in his upkeep and sends in the Dib for the first damage. He also shows up with a Mishra's Factory, taps 3 for a second Dib. This is not looking good. Turn 3, he's got 2 Dibs and a Black Vice down. See if I can come up with some answers. There's an Atog. He's hungry. He's wearing a pretty badass suit. And there's an Ankh of Mishra. So I'm down to 2 cards in hand. I have 4 artifacts in play. That's a serious amount of food for the Atog buffet. So, Brannon can play more land. It's going to cost him 2 damage. Or he can just let cards kind of grow in his hand, and the Black Vice will also cost him damage. But he does have very low casting cost Savannah Lions that he pumps out. He cracks in for 6. I'm down to 7. He's on 10. Very close game that is flying by. No Black Vice damage for me. Drop to 3 cards. I need to do something, and relatively quickly. Ooh, tap 2 Earthquake for 1. Atog's dead. I drop to 6. My opponent drops to 9. And Atog comes slamming in. He's got to be nervous here, as I do have 4 artifacts on board. I mean, that can be 9 damage. When you do play, you do kind of want to walk through the triggers, see if your opponent responds. Don't throw all the artifacts at once. So I am slowly force feeding the ATOG. He's looking like Marlon Brando in Godfather 2. That puts him up to a 7-8. Opponent's responding. Swords to plowshares. Yep. So my upside is I'm going to gain a ton of life. Okay, I'm getting 5 in. So I'm up to 11. Sorry, he wasn't a 7-8, he was a 5-6. I'm back up to 11. Opponent takes 2, drops himself down to 7 from the dibs in his upkeep. The bad news is I'm still just 2 turns away from those dibs swinging in for the win. I'm down to 5 now. Need to do something relatively quickly. Can play land again for free because that Ankh was eaten by the ATOG. Tapping 2 for a Chaos Orb. I'll slow the party down by a turn. Pass to my opponent, and we're going to do an upkeep flip on Chaos Orb. Targeting one of those dibs. Yeah. Direct hit. Man, that was a good looking hit. This judge gives it an 8.8. So we're both on 5. This is turning into a nail biter. Activating Factory. Swinging in for 5. Oh, bolt the Factory's face. Mishra's Factory is tossed into a shallow grave. I crack down to 2 life. My opponent only has 2 land in play. I think 3 cards in hand still. So I'm out of cards. Whatever I just drew, I can play. Kind of need the Ball Lightning. Earthquake for 4. It's not enough. Wow. I die. My opponent goes to 1 and wins the game. That was a close one. So we're going to swap out some cards and move on to game number 2. And here we are with game number 2. The Lion Dib Bolt Sarah Juggernaut is up 1-0 against my Yidwin Riders deck. That's the other name I called my deck. Drop out a mountain. It's got those shaved corners. Start with 6 in hand, but no turn 1 play. Brannon's coming back with Tundra on turn 1 and Black Vice on turn 1 again. I'm throwing down a Bolt at the end of his turn to get under the Black Vice damage. Not quite all the way under, but I'm down to 5 cards in hand, only take 1, so Brannon drops to 17, I'm on 19, and look at this aggressive strip mine. Looks like he top decks a Volcanic Island. I take some more Vice damage, lose 1 more life, drop down to 18, and play a Black Vice on my own. So I am under my Vice, he's on his. He's taking 2, but applying more heat to my face. Lightning Bolt back at me. Drops me down to 15 at the end of my turn. He's on 16. My next card, it's a Sapphire straight into a Blood Moon. He's got something to say about it. Yeah, Blue Elemental Blast, shut that shit down. Counters any red spell for 1 blue. Pretty effective. Down to 15, top decks his own Strip Mine. Watching a lot of hate happen here. Brannon does pass back to me. I find another mountain. Again, up to 4 mana sources. I can play anything in my deck. 2 for an Ankh of Mishra. I'm down to just 2 cards in hand. He takes another point from Black Vice. His deck does rely on a little bit more mana than me, and look at this, just another pass. He's up to 6 in hand. 15 to 14, so not that far into the game. Pressure is being applied. More Lightning Bolt to face. Drops Brannon down to 11, and a Time Twister. This is huge. I think I remember I actually had a Wheel of Fortune. That was the only card left in my hand. Since I had played out 3 Lightning Bolts, I did want those back. So cheap and easy to cast, and deals 3 to the face. I opted to play the Twister to get those things. So we both get a look at 7 new cards. I believe I've already played a land this turn. Or maybe not. That was last turn. Here comes a mountain, followed by another Black Vice. Wow, this is big. Opponent does have a Lightning Bolt to chuck in my face, putting me down to 10. He's on 11. Black Vice at 2 of them in his upkeep, dropping him down to 7. Only has 2 land in play. It's getting quite dangerous. I mean, this game is moving into overdrive as we speak. Searching for solutions. I mean, he's got 6 in hand, so he definitely wants to get at least a couple cards out of his hand, ideally. And he doesn't want them to be lands, because the Ankh's going to nab them for 2. So yeah, Brannon does decide to throw down a Tundra. That's going to be 2 more to the face from the Ankh of Mishra, putting him down to 5. He is in the danger zone. Tapping to COP red. Okay, this is important. I think that takes him down to 5 cards, so he's probably still staring at 2 from the Black Vice in his upkeep. But he's on 5 life. The downside is, though, when playing against a red deck, don't come down to 3. Upside, COP red is a heavy hitter here. Now, Lightning Bolt. See what he decides to do. Taps 1 to prevent it with COP red. Another Lightning Bolt. Has to take that to the face. And a Chain Lightning. The heat is on, and that is game number 2, folks. We are 1-1. Moving on to game number 3. Alright, here we go with game number 3. We have had 2 fairly even matches, coming down to essentially nail-biting games. Brannon's back on the play. Black Vice turn number 1, 3 games in a row. The gift that keeps on giving. I dropped to 17 before I can even look away from the camera, and I do the same thing back to him. Mountain straight into an altered Black Vice. Dropping my opponent down to 19. He finds a Plains immediately. As we saw last game, I brought in my Blood Moons. Plains can just get right around that. Upkeep looks like I'm applying pressure to his face. Lightning Bolt, dropping him down to 16. I take 1 from the Black Vice, drop down to 16 myself, so 2 turns in, both done. 4 damage to each other. Pass back to my opponent with 5 in hand. He's got a disenchant for my Black Vice, so we're kind of trading 1 for 1s here. He shows up with a Tundra again. Tapping 3. There's a Time Twister. Wow. That's quick. Shuffle up and draw 7. We're both going with 7 new cards. Even though I'm on mono red, my opponent does run 5 more burn spells than I do. Oh, look at this. He rips into a Black Lotus. Kind of a powerhouse card. Just a bit. I have another Lightning Bolt for his face. Dropping myself down to 6 cards. I think I'm stuck in upkeep here. Probably am trying not to take any more Black Vice damage. But decide to just take the 2, dropping down to 14 life. Volcanic Island, tapping 3, Blood Moon. Let's shut this shit down. Really, with a Black Lotus and his only planes in the deck on the table, Blood Moon isn't that effective. I could be wrong, we'll see, but the Lotus is going to let him squeak by with whatever he wants to do against me. And he already did shuffle back in that Disenchant. He left it to use it on my Black Vice and then right back into the deck. Bad news about Blood Moon is it does not deal damage. He does play out another mountain. So we can see on the left-hand side he's got 3 very expensive mountains. Tapping 2 for another Circle of Protection red. Ah, this is bad. I'm losing 1 more life to the Black Vice, dropping down to 13. I feel like my opponent's board state is in much better condition than mine. I do find an ATOG. And ATOG likes to party, although he doesn't have anything to eat that's on the table. Back to Brannon. Finding 1 more mountain. Slam dunks at home. I mean, at this point, he could fireball me for 7. Chuck a Lightning Bolt to his face, which is tough. Kind of just wasting cards here to get under his Black Vice damage. I'd rather use him against his creatures if I had to. Here comes ATOG. Yeah, all he has to do is tap a colorless. Another mountain gets tapped. And a Yidwin Efreet hits the table. So normally he'd be a real threat. 3/6. You have to flip a coin to block, but that Circle of Protection red is such a powerhouse. I see why they left it out of alpha. Brannon tomahawks another mountain into play and passes to me. Looks like not a whole lot he can do. Kind of need some Black Vices at this point. Turning my team sideways. He's gonna have to tap some of those mountains. Yeah, there he goes. No damage done. Look at this. I gotta waste more cards just to stay under Black Vice. He taps 1 more of his pile of mountains. Oh, and even worse, he sends the chain lightning back to me, dropping me down to 10. Kind of detrimental, but the bad news is, I mean, I do have to get cards out of my hand for that Black Vice. At that point, I could have sent it back, but I couldn't risk him jamming even more damage from my own sources down my throat. So he plays out a pointed mountain. It looks like a Winter Factory, but it is just a mountain. Taps like a mountain. Talks and walks like a mountain. Oh, and here we go. Psy Blast. Counter that shit right out of here. Red Elemental Blast. Shutting down that Psy Blast. I'm down to 3 in hand. My opponent has 5. And he's on 16 life. Without some brown artifacts, I feel like this game's kind of an eternity away. Top deck another mountain of my own, and Mana Barbs is in play. So every time he taps for mana, he's going to take 1 damage. From Mana Barbs, so I mean, it's a red source. And here we go, 2 creatures in. Let's see if he taps for mana. Yeah, there's 1 mana, 2 mana. Oh, Disenchant. Fun Police have arrived. He does not like Mana Barbs, and then he just prevents the damage. So he's down to 14. Did take 2 off that exchange. Finding even more mountain. That one even smells like a mountain. Back to me. Tapping 4 again. That is not a Central, folks. That's the German misprint of Mana Barbs. Yeah, it says enchantment in German. Fucking tapping day, mana hurting day face. So party on again. It'd be even more detrimental had I had 2 of those in play. Oh, bolting me. Don't like that. I think he's doing it in response so he doesn't take any damage. More bolt. This hurts. Down to 4 life. 6 damage. Ouch. Send my creatures in. My opponent's going to take 2. And drop down to 12. He's taking 2 just from the Mana Barbs by preventing the 4 damage that's coming into him. So the Blood Moon has shut him off really well. I mean, he's got the direct damage spells down. He did have to ditch the Black Lotus for the Psy Blast. Here come my creatures in again. Tapping more mountains, taking more damage. My opponent's down to 7. I'm on 4. Oh, this is going to come down to the wire. Do not blink. See if he drew that fireball he was looking for. Back to me again. Creatures on tap. Creatures coming back in. Oh, he's got a Swords to Plowshares. Wow. I go up to 5. He takes care of a Tog. And taps 1 to prevent the Yidwin, dropping him to 5. So we are dead even on life again. 5 and 5. Coming again all the way down to the wire, taking a look through graveyards. I have 2 in hand. Play out a new 8 Tog, dropping myself down to 3. I want to keep that clock running as opposed to him just losing 1 life a turn and getting 4 new cards before we decide who wins the game. This will cut it down by a couple turns. Opponent's deciding to possibly tap his mountains. Nope. decides against it, untaps everything, passes back to me. Cat's going wild in the background. He's excited too. My opponent's down to 3. I'm on 3. Oh, this is getting wild. Man of Barbs. Making the game go funny. Tog and Yidwin coming in again. Dealing 2 damage just through that Man of Barbs. My opponent's on 1 life. I'm on 3. Black Vice to add fuel to the fire. Vice is null and void, kind of with the Tog being able to be shut down by the COP red. My opponent plays out 1 more mountain. Adds it to the pile of mountains. I'm down to 2 life. And he's got a lightning bolt. Yeah, so we do have a discussion about this. He can stack up the damage from the Mana Vault and play Instance, which is a lightning bolt. So big congratulations to Brannon. He won that on 1 life and last turn to live. Top decking what he needed. As always, thanks for watching The Orb.